Buongiorno, buon pomeriggio, e buonasera, Lazio world. Welcome to our instant reaction pod. I'm your host, Sean McIntosh, joined by my friend Caleb Adams. We are here to react to Lazio Bologna. And it's another frustrating one, but we are here on a Sunday to talk about it. Caleb, how you doing, my friend?
Doing pretty good. Doing great outside of Lazio right now.
Yeah, this one's a weird one. A lot of good, a lot of frustrations, more to talk about when it comes to officiating, I think. So let's get into our bag here. We've got some important notes right off the jump when it comes to the starting 11.
Yeah.
Cataldi back. So it's good to see him. We knew he was fighting to earn his spot back into the starting 11 from an injury that kept him out the past few weeks. So good to see our regista back. And then Nuno Tavares, going to be the talk of a lot of this podcast, finds himself back in the starting 11. So not much changes outside of that. And from the jump, and I mean first minute of the match, we see a glimpse of what would tell the story of this one. Nuno misjudges a ball that gets played to Orsolini, who then has space, sniffing goal, goes to goal, just happens to miss his wide to not punish Nuno's misjudgment there. On the front foot, Lazio soon after, 12-minute mark, a nice little 1-2 between Zaccagni and Nuno. Nuno goes on a blistering run, cuts to a shooting foot, takes a crack at it, doesn't necessarily bother the keeper, but you see the dynamic of Nuno, the good, the bad. It's a Bologna turnover in the 15th minute, just outside of the box. Tati with a pass to Isaacson, who has the perfect opportunity to immediately take the lead in this one, but it is a kick save from the keeper. Barely gets a foot to it, but had himself a match in this one. And then 30th minute, it's Provedel kind of put to the test, a nice save. Marusic with a blackout moment, passes it into a dangerous area. It's picked off. Odegaard, point blank, Provedel making the save. And then again, another diving save from Provedel. 34th minute, Pobega from outside the box. It's a nice diving save. 38th minute, Isaacson this time makes no mistake about it, but it is a sequence of classic Sarri-like performance. A nice ball from Guendouzi to Isaacson, who plays it across Zaccagni. Great touch, great instincts, takes a crack at it. A rebound falls to Isaacson, who slots it home. But I barely get to take my notes here, and we are punished. 40th minute, Nuno just walked past. He is nutmegged. His pants are pulled out from underneath. Provedel happens to get a great hand onto the shot, almost a double save. But the rebound slips under him. It is 1-1. We go into halftime incredibly frustrated. We make halftime subs, Cancellieri for Isaacson, and then Lazzari for Nuno. And then shortly into the second half, we see another important sub, Noslin for Tati. Sarri, clear indication of both some players that are obviously like Tati, who's not quite fitness ready to play a full match, but then his intent when it comes to benching Nuno. And we see another couple opportunities. Marusic plays a nice ball to Basic, who then plays it across goal. Cancellieri just can't necessarily get enough onto it. It falls to Marusic, shot blocked, goes to Guendouzi, and it's a diving save. And then minutes later, 73rd moment, Noslin lays it off to Guendouzi. Another deflection that requires an incredible diving save. This one, ultimately, we see a number of subs, and we have a couple chances, and then the match really turns on its head. 78th minute, Gila with, I don't know, I'd have to really dive into this replay. Upon the first replay, I thought Gila got a foot to the ball. So it's a little bit dangerous. His studs are up, but he gets ball. He's given a yellow. quickly some dissent on the referee, and it is a swift second yellow, red card to Gila, sent off. We're forced to play down a man. Patrick coming on for Basic. And look, Lazio still attacking at that point. You got to really commend the desire to fight for all 3 points. And then in the 95th minute, we earn a free kick. We take the free kick, earn a corner, and then the ref immediately blows the whistle. We've seen this time and time again. Caleb, give me your 3 words or less to describe this match.
Yeah, just my 3 words are got to capitalize. That's just not on chances. It's just in this game in general. This is a huge matchup for potential European spots. Lazio are at home. You're against Bologna, who has been very good as of late. You start really well. You get a lot of chances. You don't capitalize there. Of course, when you do, there's a mistake there. But I think the big point for me was we're at home. We have momentum off of the Milan game. This was a huge match for 3 points to really boost our European chances. We win this match. We're 3 points off from Como. This is a 6 point. For me, this is like a 6 point match. This is a team that will be directly competing in the same spots we'll be vying for at the end of the season. And we did everything but get the result right in many cases, which ultimately you had to capitalize on this moment. Because next we have to play Bologna. We still have to play Bologna on the road, correct?
Yep.
The next matchup will be on the road. The table's probably tighter. There are less games after that, right? It's less forgiving once you get closer to the end of the season. So I thought it was a real wasted opportunity. And while it's sort of a negative connotation, is the fact that we were so dominant was very encouraging, and why it makes not capitalizing that much. Why even saying that to begin with? If we were just hanging on, I wouldn't be saying this. I would be saying, it still stands true that you have to win this game because it's a direct competitor. But there were a lot of positives to take away from this game as well. But unfortunately, we're left with a sour taste in our mouths.
Yeah, 100%. My 3 words for this: surgeons without scalpel. So this was a team that, like a surgeon, we were really good at what we were doing. A surgeon without a scalpel means that we were minimally invasive. We were missing that sharpness, that clinical precision. We were doing a ton, particularly in that first half. Again, I said it in the buildup, like Sadi, like that classic, the nice sequence, the 1-2, the really invasive, getting into the final third. And in not only getting into the final third, because I recall so many frustrations from this Sadi side in Sadi's last year where, we would build up sometimes, and then it was like we didn't know what to do in the final third. We weren't getting into dangerous areas. Today was very different. Today was, we were threatening. We were invasive. We were getting in there. We just lacked that finishing class, that real sharpness. Like, we would get on the ball. We would be in that moment. Again, thinking about Isaacson being on it, very similar to what happened against Pisa. You're like, in that, dude, you just have to finish. It doesn't matter who's on the end of the ball. Like, you're in the box. Tati, we can talk about that play. For me, maybe a frustration, maybe not fair in that sometimes you need to make that extra selfish play, and maybe I'm overthinking it because we've seen Isaacson so many times just fail to finish kind of the easy chance, but he's able to strike a world. But for me, we were just, it was so frustrating because truly dominant performance. And what's crazy to me is you flick it on halftime, you're listening to the commentary from the studio team, and they would suggest that it was a lot more of an even match, particularly in that first half. And I didn't see it that way at all. I thought this was a Lazio side who was dominant defensively and in attack. The press was clearly frustrating Bologna. The amount of silly turnovers on their part that we were forcing, and again, the sequences, the the pass to Guendouzi, the Isaacson, the cross goal, all of this was stunning, beautiful football, and we simply couldn't capitalize. And then when we finally do, it's quickly overshadowed by a mistake. And I know again the broadcast or the studio team is kind of hyping up the nutmeg, but we know it's poor defense. It was for me. It wasn't a product of just great attack from Bologna. It's piss poor defense. We've seen this time and time again. It's a little bit lazy from Nuno. And we were punished, and it's frustrating. So, Caleb, talk to me a little bit about what we saw and what Lazio was able to do so well that got us into some of these positions that made it really frustrating that we weren't able to walk away with 2, 3 more goals.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two main factors to this. The first one being the press. I think everything came from the press. Everything started from the press. The chances we were able to generate, the space that we had in transition. You notice once Bologna got set in the second half, it was difficult for us to break them down, really find those gaps in their lines. It was when we were able to win the ball higher up the field where those gaps opened up, and we have the players that are playing direct to occupy those spots. We have guys like that, the Zaccagni, Nuno as well, Basic, all these guys. Even Guendouzi was getting involved in the attack. They were making these runs aggressively when we did win the ball high. So I think everything stems from the press to start with. I thought it was excellent. I was really impressed, particularly because this is our third game in a week. So I thought I sort of anticipated a slow start, sort of a grindy game. I did not anticipate an energetic, really just on fire start. I mean, that was probably the best half we played. Minus a goal, that was probably the best half we played in this season. Easy, easy. I wouldn't say the best we played on both sides of the ball because I do think we were a little bit kind of everywhere on our own transitional defense. But regardless, we still limited, considering how aggressive we were in the attack, we still limited Bologna to a certain degree, right, on the defensive
Yeah,
side.
I mean, we
Because we were
absolutely
super
did.
aggressive in the attack. We were super aggressive. And considering that, we did what we had to do on defense for the most part.
Yeah, look, a couple things to highlight that. I mean, you can't have it both ways, right? It's hard to play compact,
Mm-hmm.
structured, drop back, low block, mid block when you're pressing so high, forcing turnovers. But this is a Bologna side that has scored 12 goals in their last 5 matches.
Mm-hmm.
And we come into this one stifling them, really limiting how many great chances they had. And
Yeah.
sure, we gave up a few chances, couple due to individual lapses. But when we needed him, Providel stood tall and made big time saves. And this was a match where I really appreciated coming out and just being from a tactical flexibility, playing a little bit different and still being able to limit those types of opportunities. So yeah, I was pretty impressed overall. I thought it was, especially that first 45, our best match in
And
terms of how we were playing.
100%. And I want to add, particular offense. I know we're gonna probably. I know Nuno will be a big target, and deservedly so for the defensive laps there. But a big part of us being able to be that dangerous in transition is Nuno. Ultimately, like look at the difference when Nuno came out. We're playing Marusic back at left back, Lazio back at right back. Like being able to like the combining was like Gagny is just we talked about it even last season in Baroni. That
Yeah.
combination alone carried our season. And for most parts of it, particularly that first half of the season, it was that duo that if we were going to create anything, it had to come from Zaccagni and it had to come from Nuno combining in something. So it was really bright today. I think Nuno was lacking a bit in the final third too. He was really good in build up, but the whole team was lacking in the final third. To be fair, in this particular match, but a big part of that offensive threat, a big part of why this was easily our best offensive showing was Nuno. And yes, I think that's a big debate is that it is what we can do in the attack with Nuno worth the defensive liabilities, and is that something that's worth building around and trying to I guess shield as much as we can, right? Like you don't want Nuno in 1v1 defensive situations. So when a guy like Ravella's out there, he can race over and help. So I think that's a big question, just that maybe we can talk about later on the show or whenever you want to address it. But I think that's a
Yeah,
pretty
let's talk
interesting
about it
debate
now. I
right now.
think
Okay.
it's a great question. I think given what we saw today, if I had it my way, what I would do now is honestly I'd bench him I
But
wouldn't.
let's assume everyone's healthy as well too. Like let's assume Rovella comes back like start of the new year. Say Rovella's back. Everyone's got these back.
Yep.
Canceleri's out. Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to lay that out.
Yeah, I would still bench him. I think because what I would want to see is what does this side look like now with those players, with a Tati, and I think we were playing in a way that we were compact, we were hard to beat, and I've referenced that multiple times the last few weeks. I love that this side has been really hard to beat,
Mm-hmm.
and that's because we didn't have gaffes like what we're seeing with Nuno. And I would prefer that. And for me, the missing piece was how dreadful Dia had been, missing some
Mm-hmm.
opportunities. And so I would like to see what does this side look like with that same defensive structure and solidity and soundness and being really tough to beat. But now you have Tati that can play off of players, create more chances, starting to see more and more of Noslin, who was an impact again today off the bench. I would like to see that first before making the change to kind of take that risk and say, look, it's just not working. We're not scoring goals. We've got to take this approach and we've got to have the liability, but the pros outweigh. That's my take. I want to see what we are. I really, really like this side being a hard to beat side. And now with Tati, I think we can score some more goals, create a little bit more. And so I would hold off and pull kind of the panic button. I see Nuno as that panic button. Like, okay, we can't score. Let's see what we can do with him in there. I don't know. What do you think?
No, that I think that's pretty similar to where I'm at because even though I know people, we talked about, selling him and stuff like that. I do think Nuno is a really valuable player, particularly off the bench. I think that Nuno is a player that, like, particularly against sides that like to sit. Bologna is a side that likes to attack, pushes their fullbacks. But it's sides like those relegation sides, those mid-table sides that are just so hard for us to break down. That I think having someone like Nuno can be the difference between a goal or not that game. I do like it's very situational and opponent driven for me. Of like, okay, look, like we're gonna be against a brick wall here. We're gonna be hammering the attack over and over again. Okay, let's get Nuno in this game early to try and get a goal early and force him out of the show, and then we can take him off and bring in a defensive guy to then sort of lock down. When another team doesn't have that much attacking talent. Now against like I'm Milan at this point, and Napoli, Inter. I'm probably not starting Nuno, but he could be an impact player if I'm trying to chase a goal at the end of the game. So I do think he still has a place to play in this role. I don't think it's a lock starter for sure. I don't agree with that. But I was talking on Twitter with somebody, and I was telling them that I would also like to see how this team looks like completely healthy. We have pieces like Tati, Cancellieri coming back. Basic has been a big boost. It looks like Guendouzi's maybe trending upwards a little bit more. He had a better game today. I would like to see how this team attack with Ravella's coming back. I think there's enough there to score goals. I think there's enough there to score a goal or two a game. And then we can just lock it, we're able to lock it down still. And if we can't, you still have that option in Nuno. So I still think he has a role to play in this team. But yeah, I don't see him. I would say I'll probably start him like, it's like a 30-70 split. I'll probably start someone else 70% of the time. Because the thing is, like, Lazio is not this defensive stalwart either. Like,
No, of course. Absolutely
for me,
not.
like,
Right.
for me, people saying, if you were to say, like, yeah, I'd rather get Lazio if they're starting. At that point, I'd rather start Nuno. Like, Lazio is not this defensive beast, and his attacking output is non-existent, really. He's fast, and that's about it. At that point, I'm like, I'd rather just start Nuno at that point. But if it's a Pellegrini, Hisai, right? I think those guys are a little more solid defensively and still are a complete liability in the attack either. Then I'd be open to that. But I do
Yeah.
think like a Lazio, like a comparison to like a
Lazzari's
Lazio, like
though his difference in defense, like I never. There's for sure frustrations with Lazzari, no doubt about it. I mean, look, his service, and we've talked about this year over year, but it's never like an effort or
yeah, that's fair.
like Nuno comes in and it's just this like lackadaisical. He's got all the physical tools in the world, right? He's got everything you would want to build a player
Mhm.
from. Physically, he's stronger than everybody else. He's got the pace. he's got everything, right? The tools, the technique, his technical ability, and it's just he gets lazy and he makes lazy, dumb decisions. And today was just another couple lazy moments. And Lazzari, it may happen because he doesn't have the strength. He may get bullied. He may make a mistake, but it's usually not for lack of him just like fighting and he's got pace and he tries to recover. And
That's
so
fair.
that for me, I get less upset. I'm still frustrated because the end result is still poor defending. But with Nuno, it's so frustrating because you're just like, come on, man. You only want to turn it on when it comes to the attacking phase, and he does have the ability to be a much better defender. But I agree with you. He's a valuable piece. He changes the dynamics of an entire match, and he's a good tool and if used in the right moments. But yeah, I really started to like this identity that we were building, that was just be hard to beat, be a group of players that are just fighters, that are hard to beat, that can make it difficult, and then we just got to finish our chances. So I do like him as an X factor type of player.
Yeah, so I mean that's sort of my take on Nuno is just I do think he's valuable, and I think having profiles of players like this are needed, especially in Serie A where games are tight, defenses are tight. But yes, as a starter, probably not great.
If
But
you could get 15 million for him, would you sell him today?
15,
Yeah, say 12 to 15.
man, it all. If I were to get 15 million for him, and that's going to be reinvested in like a Mazzala or something, or like yes, it just depends. I don't think Lazio in a position right now to really make huge upgrades, really, even with 15 anywhere at this point. Like I look around the field, and yes, Guendouzi and Bassett, you'd want more of a ball handler in there, but realistically, who are you getting for 15 million? It's going to be an upgrade on either of those two right now. Like,
Yeah, but it's not just
and then
I mean, we have to sell. I think the numbers were like close to 30 million to be able to
yeah.
do anything with it. And so he gives you half of that. So that's kind of my question, is like, if you could sell him.
Well, if we have to get a 30 mil to break even, is it to break even and be like to not
It's
to
to be able to
basically
sign. I don't know
okay?
exactly how much we would sign, but
Well, my question, it changes to like if it's 15 million to be able to sign players or 15 million to just not get a transfer ban again. If
no,
to
it's to
not get a
sign
transfer
players.
ban
It's to
again,
sign players.
okay. I mean, I just you still need another 15 in addition to that. Like even and I also think it's all valuable to notice too that Saudi actually continues to play Nuno as a sub and stuff like that. Like I don't think he's completely dismissive of Nuno. Like a Belayan, which I would say just sell immediately for 15 million because I do think Saudi has value, sees some intrinsic value in Nuno's game. Saudi systems always had really a lot of fullback play. Like the fullback winger play in Saudi systems is vital. So I think he sees Nuno's like, man, like he's so good, but I just have to sort of balance this out. So I don't know, man. 15, I don't know. I don't know if I would, to be honest. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know.
Well, I know we were talking.
Would I be
Go ahead.
pissed about it if it happened? No, I wouldn't be pissed if he goes for 15. But I'm also not in a. I also don't feel like he's just so like useless to this team and lineup that you just get him out. I also don't feel that way.
Okay. Talk about your man of the match. Who'd you have?
Man, this is I thought they were really got a lot of good performers this game. To be fair, my pick's actually going to be Basic. There's a few candidates, and I think you might mention one of them. But I thought Zaccagni was also very good. Some honorable mentions for me. I thought Zaccagni was excellent. I thought that Marusic for the most part was quite good. I thought Guendouzi had one of his better games. He won a ton of second balls, like because of the press and people lobbing over. I thought that Guendouzi actually won a lot of those second balls, and I thought that was sort of his most valuable. Inclusion in this match, but I'm gonna go with Basic for this game. It's just, man, like yes, he didn't score, he didn't assist, but what a player he is, man. Like not only is he a hard worker on defense, chases down people, a big physical presence, and even a good, like, reliable presence on the ball as well, but he also sprints and starts counterattacks incredibly well. Like, if you think about a lot of our counters, so many of those are sprung by Basic, who will win the ball and race out. And, like, he's deceptively fast. Like, he glides down that pitch. Like, his long legs, he still has good control. He still maintains good control of the ball too. He doesn't lose control of it. Like, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but it's like a Milinkovic Savage light in a way of just like he's this tall physical presence, but he's also deceptively fast and able to move counterattacks quicker than what you expect. Like he's able to win that ball, push somebody off the ball, immediately drive forward. And I think that's something that we've really been missing, and I would like to see more of. That's why when Sadi was playing Basic as a regista in the Milan game for a bit there on the subs, I was like, what are you doing? You're completely wasting our only progressive midfielder right now that we have on the pitch. Like, this guy is one of the few midfielders we have that will actually win the ball and just run downfield and try and create something. So I thought he had a really complete two-way performance today. And so that for him, I felt his presence in everything that we did on both sides of the pitch in the press. And so for that reason, I have Basic as my man of the match.
Yeah, I had Basic as well. And just
Okay.
to hammer home your point, I mean, that 62nd minute, Marusic plays a ball in the box, just there and about the box. And Basic is there. He's deep in the final third. He's making that run, and it's his cutback pass that makes a big problem for Bologna. Cancellieri, it ultimately drops to Guendouzi, who has the shot, and it's a diving save. But it's Basic once again getting to the ball, playing it into dangerous areas, being in the final third. I thought, to your point, he just impacted the game in so many ways. I just thought he was a very complete player today. But a couple of those same shout outs that I had, but two different ones here. Another strong match from Provedel, who absolutely came up clutch in big moments. And again, he almost bailed out Nuno. Makes an initial save and then damn near gets the double save on that one. I thought Provedel was really, really good. Also had a couple moments in which his distribution was really strong that broke us into a counter. And then just want to shout out Noslin again, coming in and making just an impact in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
And, we don't ultimately score, but he just creates problems. And going back to that moment in the 62nd minute, it just really want to highlight his awareness. Marusic plays this ball to Basic, and Noslin and Basic are kind of both clumped up together. And Noslin, just the awareness to understand where he's at, where Basic is at, and just kind of pause and let the ball roll into Basic, keeps everything onside. Really, really great. 73rd minute, he lays off a ball to Guendouzi. That's the moment where Guendouzi's deflection almost goes in, if not for a diving save. And then 78th minute, an incredible play by Noslin. Once again, Guendouzi whips in a ball, and Noslin real cleverly chests it down to Cancellieri, whose volley almost finds the back of the net. It was a really good volley, kind of slices it a little bit and just wide of the top corner. But really, you're seeing so many things that Noslin does in a way that reminds me a little bit of Tati, in a sense where those are the things that you see Tati do, just clever little one touches, a little bit of hold up. Immediately after a pass, he darts into open space. And it's just, again, head scratching that it's taken this long to see him get some opportunities. But every time that man is on the pitch, something good happens. So wasn't on there quite long enough, and we didn't end up scoring, but thought he deserved a shout in the running of just 100%. Really, really strong players. So
100%. I mean, with that, I feel a lot better with that coming off early. When a guy like Nelson's coming in, I'm like, I like the move. I thought it was a good move. He brings also a different level of pace and speed in the attack, getting in behind, particularly in a transitional game that it was for a lot of those portions of this match. Nelson has been really good. And I thought, aside from one mistake, I thought Marusic also had a really good game today.
Aside from the one mistake that was
he made one that mistake.
Old school Marusic that we would lose it over. But yeah, he was very sound
He
defensively.
made it up with setting up that goal. So yeah, I thought there were a lot of good. I just thought again it was mostly a lot of credit to team performances too. I was just a really complete team performance overall for the most part.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk. Let's talk. The other thing I want to shout out real quick is I thought Sadi set this team up really really well, and I thought his
Mhm.
substitutions were spot on. Like
Yeah,
every
I
single one
agree.
of them, I thought was spot on. Getting the right guys in, making the right
Mm,
substitutions at the right time, getting to see Naslin with a good 40 minutes of match
yeah.
time. So really like that. Let's you know, we spent a ton of time talking about this player already. My bidone, it's Nuno. Reason why
Mm,
he was pulled at halftime. Ultimately, the difference in this match. But
mm.
I'm gonna assume he would be yours. But just because we already had this conversation, was there anybody else that you thought was kind of in the mix?
I have just one more note on
Yeah,
Nuno because I do think that entire sequence it was bad team defense, but ultimately some people say it was bad team defense, but ultimately you still have to make that play as an individual. I think that's why like we understand that like that's what happens. Sometimes your structure breaks apart, you get hit on the counter, especially when you're this aggressive on offense. But you as an individual defender, your primary objective is to stop any shots coming at your goalkeeper. And so I just that's the main reason I had with it, even though I
yeah.
recognize that there were some lapses on that
But it's what
sequence.
we would say about Providel, right? Like, how
It's
many
what, it's what
times
we
would
would
we
say
say,
if
"Hey,
Latsik made a mistake, we
yep,
would be cooking him on the same
for
way.
sure." We would say, hey, look, obviously the defense and there's a team element to it where they break down and that's an opportunity. But hey, Providel, when it comes down to it, like we're asking you to not just make the saves that you should be making, but you've got to
Mhm.
make the play at the end of the day. So likewise with Nuno, like sure, but you're there, man. You're right there. You got to do a little bit better. And so I think it's
Yeah.
fair. I think the criticism's fair.
I would say some other kind of dips and kind of my expectations. Not so much that they were terrible, but just I expect a little bit more. I thought Cataldi wasn't as solid today as he normally is, and I don't know if it's tired. He wasn't. It really felt like it was. He was again a passenger in the midfield, particularly this game. But that's normally as a defensive midfielder, maybe that's normally a good thing if we don't really notice you that much. But I also was, and this would be harsh to really like mean this 100% or like hold it against him. But I thought even though Cancellieri had that one nice shot, I actually thought I was pretty disappointed with him in his sort of cameo, um, which I think the biggest issues I had with it is when he would receive the ball, he would lose it far too often. He wasn't able to beat any man. He got in a good position to make that shot, but aside from that shot, he really struggled to do what he was doing before he got hurt, which was taking on players, protecting the ball, racing down the sideline, and creating stuff. And it's his first game back. I'm that's just simply me from I know how good he's been for us before that injury. Uh, I hope that he can get back to that. But I wasn't too impressed with the cameo. He came on for Saxon, who I thought he started out decently, got the goal, of course, credit for that. But he was. I still thought Saxon was more lively than Cancellieri was for sure. At the end of the day, but
I think on the Cancellieri, just to touch on him, it really reminded me of the first game and a half, two matches of the season where
mhm,
Cancellieri obviously got the start. Isaacson had been dealing with sickness, hadn't had a ton of training in the offseason. So Cancellieri was our starting right winger. First two matches were very similar to what we saw today. It
yeah,
was, hey, you saw these good things, right places, would do some things, seemed just a little maybe chaotic,
yeah,
but there was enough there, and then he got into form. It reminded me of the first couple matches. Like there was some things I really really liked. His physical presence. Again, he was in areas. He had two shots on target, I believe. He had a couple really nice chances, created a couple chances, but then there's some moments where you're like, you got to be a little bit cleaner in possession. You've got to hold off. You got to defend a little bit better. So just to say that about him, obviously knowing it was his first real match, he came off the bench against Milan in Coppa Italia, but this was his first time like getting some significant minutes. So I was a little bit hopeful in that it just reminded me early in the season. So hopefully we see that same progression from him.
Yeah, like I said, it's just simply an observation for me of he came on right at the half. So Sadi saw something that Isaacson was doing that he was not pleased with. He felt he could get more from Cancellieri. Cancellieri did not provide that today, frankly.
Yep.
But it's been a while since he's been on the pitch. So like I said, I'm not going to hold it against him too hard there.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, look, this one obviously incredibly disappointing. You mentioned it. We both said it. The performance was there. The result wasn't. I do believe that we played a match that was deserving of all three. Another, moment in which the officials kind of do us in a little bit, did us a little bit dirty. Not sure, I guess, what this means in terms of suspension. Obviously, it's at least one match without Gila. And taking a look at the table before we look at our upcoming matches, this one was critical. We said it, like Bologna now, they're fourth place, they're fifth place in the table. They're at 25 points. We do nothing by way of chipping into that. We're at 19 points, 10th in the table. Cremonese with they're kind of flying high right now. It's insane to see them ninth ahead of us by a point. Sassuolo picking up a win this week against lowly Fiorentina, also on 20 points. Juve, their match just started this week, but they're at 24 points. Como having dropped, getting absolutely blistered by Inter. A failed opportunity for us to cut into that gap. So it's a tough one for us, particularly given how we played. But here's our opportunity. We have a strong opportunity to start to build some momentum. We've got Parma next week, next Saturday. Then we've got Cremonese, then Udinese before we face Napoli. So 3 matches that are absolutely winnable. One against a side that's ahead of us, but again, it's Cremonese. Big opportunity for us to secure some points, feel good about ourselves, and just build momentum as we head into the winter market. So, Caleb, what do you want to see from this side?
Well, I will say I think this team is turning a corner. I do think the result against Milan in league play, I thought these 2 matches could have very easily have been a few things switch, 3 points for Lazio, right? So it does feel that we are sort of turning a corner, and maybe it's just like sort of the slow delay of Sadi's system clicking, right? It mixed in with people getting healthy again. It's a combination of an understanding, a tactical understanding, and familiarity. Even though some of these guys have played with it, but it's still, you still got to get back into it. So maybe a mix of that, maybe a mix of, in addition to that, mix of players getting healthy, but in confidence, of course. So I hope that these matches just sort of keep feeding towards that confidence in the team right now. And I do feel like we're sort of turning a corner here. We have a huge opportunity to really hyper boost it, with these next 3 matches. But if we keep playing like this, we're going to be fighting for a European spot. Well, at very worst, we're fighting for a 6th spot. So I'm feeling pretty optimistic about it. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see how the team progresses, see everyone back healthy, Ravella back, and come back with a really strong second half of the season.
2 things I want to touch on and close out. One, didn't even mention it, and shame on us, but this was Ciro Immobile's return to Stadio Olimpico. First match against Lazio since he left the club, and what a scene! Beautiful from the curva to honor him. You saw the moments pre-match. He was presented with a Lazio shirt, and you saw the love between him and the likes of Zaccagni and Maurizio Sarri and all the players. But I was it's funny because I was initially planning, I wanted to make a trip this December in my team's offseason to go see Lazio, and this was the game that I had penned. in hopes of seeing Ciro Immobile. I've never seen him in person.
Oh
Last
wow.
time I was at Stadio Olimpico was Lazio Juve in 20, I want to say 21,
Yeah.
right, coming back from COVID,
Yeah.
and Cheeto was hurt. And it was just off the heels of him, I want to say, becoming Lazio's all-time leading goal scorer, or he had just reached some milestone in goals. And so
Yeah.
I was there to see the presentation and see Cheeto get, just the love from the Curva, and that was awesome. But he was hurt. It was one of those rare times where he was hurt. It was just before, the mounting injury. So super disappointed. I wanted to make this trip to go see him. And then he got hurt in the first match in Serie A for Bologna, and then I kind of like scrapped it. And so now today I was like, okay, like, man, I wish I would have made that trip. And then seeing him warm up on the sidelines, I know we had talked about it. We were like, man, how gutting would it be if he scores the match winning goal? But
Yeah.
ultimately didn't get
100%.
into the match. And I just found that really, really odd, and disappointing from Bologna not to sub him in there. I don't know. Thought it was odd. Like, what'd you make of that? Because again, just huge opportunity. Everyone's there to see him. It's a match that kind of calls for him. They're up a man too. I just thought it was head scratching.
I definitely found it bizarre that he didn't come in, but I personally am incredibly grateful that he did not come in. Because I was already pissed off that match with how it's gone. And if he had come in and scored, that would have ruined my week. It would have,
Yeah.
like, I'd much rather him, play the next game, get a goal there, beat, Bologna, win that game. I don't want it to be against us. I personally was very relieved that he did not come on.
Yeah. Of course, I did not want him to score against us, but I don't know. Part of me just, I'm always gonna want to see him play, and I wanted to give him the moment from the Curva in Stadio
Yeah, that's
Olimpico to
fair.
kind of shower him. But I just also just thought it was weird from Italiano to not
It was
uh,
weird.
make that sub and kind of give Cheeto that. So and the other
Yeah.
piece, just because it you mentioned Rovella, and hopefully he's coming back, and I still think about his opportunity with the national team, and Sempre Lazio 8864 brings up on YouTube. Italy will be in Canada's group for the World Cup when they qualify. I must, because I always add the caveat, I'm very mindful of this, if we qualify. But the World Cup draw, you and I hadn't really gotten to speak about that. I just wanted to make a couple points about the World Cup draw. One, again, really, really hopeful that Rovella can get back. Obviously, as a Laziale, really want him to impact Lazio, and that's priority. But really want the opportunity for him to this national team, and I do know how important he can be for that. But my goodness, I did a video on TikTok for this, on my personal TikTok, and it was just like, I will never be more upset at anything sports related in my entire life, to the point where I will have to question even watching national team football like ever again if Italy does not qualify for this World Cup. 3 straight. It's just it's beyond heartbreaking. The fact that this World Cup is here in the United States, Canada, and Mexico, and the opportunity for me to go see my Azzurri in person, to bring my kids who are now getting into football, it will be devastating. And then the draw happens, and it's even better than I ever could have imagined. All I asked for was like, my God, can you imagine if Italy somehow gets in a group and they play a match in LA, which is right down the road for me. It's an easy drive, and we play in a group that we would be playing Switzerland in match day 2 in LA, and then the opening match is against Canada in Toronto, which is absolutely a home match for Italy, with over 500,000 Italians that live in Toronto, the second most populated place outside of Italy of Italians. And just the connections that I have. My sporting director is Italian and from Toronto. Jose Bautista, our owner, like Toronto legend. I'm like, I gotta get tickets for that match. Would just be disgustingly heartbroken if they do not get the job done. Sick to my stomach. So what do you think overall about the draw?
Man, I think that our draw, I mean the US's draw at least, is I think on paper it looks really good. I have a good feeling about it. Like, this is very reasonably, you could get all 3 points. You could win the group, which would be huge for the US. But the group actually has the highest ELO rating average of any other group. So while there's no like big like killers, and there's also no minnows either.
Yeah.
So all tough games. But
Can I
I'm
say
personally
this?
go ahead.
There are there's no real group of death. This expansion, honestly, like look what they did to my boy is like the meme for my World Cup because dude, these groups are ass. I mean, they're so mid. Like I need to see some of these like groups of death, and we're so without one. And now you throw in the fact that your top 8 third place teams get a chance to make it. I mean, dude, like so if Italy were to qualify, they just need to be better than Qatar. It just takes away the stakes and yeah, it
I don't
may
know, man. Like
enhance.
I know for sure there's obviously the quality floor has been decreased, but like I look at France, Norway, Senegal's group, like that's pretty scary, bro. Like Senegal or
That's your group of death
AFCON
versus
champions,
years when
like
it would be like Germany, Netherlands, and
yeah,
then like a Senegal. Like
that's true. But I'll also say this, Saudi Arabia beat Argentina last World Cup. Like yes, these teams are
it can
good.
happen, sure.
Like in the World Cup is where people will fight harder than ever. I do think even the best teams should not underestimate some of these, like, what are seen as joke of teams. Same with the US. Like, I do think it paves the way for incredible storylines. However, if we go through the first, if we go through the group stage and there's no upsets, then I think it does sort of indict the new format of like, okay, like this really was pointless. But if we're seeing some crazy upsets, then I'm all about it. But we'll see. We'll see when we get there.
We'll see. Look,
We'll see.
again,
We'll
anything
see.
can happen in 90 minutes. But when
Yeah.
you go into it from just sinking your teeth into fixtures and being like, yo, this is the one, right? And we've seen these insane ticket prices, and you start to look at some of the matchups, and you're like, bro, you're going to sell 80,000 tickets, 70,000 tickets to some of these games. Again, it's missing some of those like really, really juicy matchups that I think we've seen in the past. And again, there's less pressure. There's always going to be pressure, no doubt about it. It's the World Cup, but now it's like you start to add third place teams that can advance. And
I feel like no, but ironically, I think there's more pressure in these groups because if you're losing to Haiti, like it's different to play against like top 40 ELO teams. You may miss the qualifying round because you lose to like a Denmark. Like there's not as much.
You have a greater margin of error now.
You have a
like
greater,
you can go 3 straight draws can get you may be cooking into the knockout rounds.
That's fair for sure. I get that. We'll see, man. For one, I hope Italy qualifies.
I just want to be in it. I just want to be at the party. I don't care.
Yeah, bro.
After that.
Italians just worry about being there first, then complain about the format.
Yeah. No, fair enough. So, no, this was good. Look, despite the results, and again, it still was a point against a very, very good Bologna.
Yeah.
We've got 3 ahead of us. Let's close out 2025 with 3 straight victories. Sempre. Forza Lazio.